This week's Torah portion is the last one in the third book in the Torah, the book of Leviticus, ayikra. The last law that we're taught is that of Meiser Behema, the animal tithe, a law that required animal owners to take 1 out of every 10 newborn animals from their flocks and take them up to the holy temple where they would be brought as sacrifices. But then rather than sharing the meat with the priests, the Kohanim, the owners of the animals would eat the meat. Perhaps the book ends with that law to remind us that even if you're not a Levite or a priest, a Levi or a Kohen, to whom so many of the laws of the third book in the Torah are directed, you too can partake in things that are consecrated to God. But the manner of the consecration of the animal tithe was an unusual one. The newborn animals from the flocks had to be placed in an enclosure that had a narrow opening, narrow enough that only one animal could pass through at a time. The animals were shepherded out through that opening, and the owner would count each one individually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When he'd get to the 10th, he would tap it with a stick that had paint on it to mark it as one of the animals that would be brought up to the holy temple and sacrificed. But that whole procedure seems cumbersome and unwieldy and frankly boring. It's like I tell my youngest children when they say they can't fall asleep, try counting sheep.
2 sheps alach, 3 sheps alach, 4 sheps alach.
Couldn't there have been a more efficient way? Maybe gather all the animals together, count them at one time, and then cordon off 10% of them? But maybe the reason for this procedure was as follows. The animal tithe law is only applicable when the temple stands, so we don't have it now. But 1 in 10 is still very much a part of our lives in Jewish law, because we're supposed to tithe. We're supposed to give at least 10% of our net income to charity. Now imagine you've made $100,000 post-taxes. So you've got to write a check now for $10,000. For most of us, putting aside the criminally insane, that can be tough to do. We don't like to burn money.
Jokerman, what you do with all your money?
I am. I'm only burning my half. All you care about is money. It's not about money. Everything burns.
But the joker notwithstanding, for us rational actors, it's tough to write that check. But suppose instead of writing that check for $10,000 all at once, you sit down and start counting your money. 1 for me, 2 for me, 3 for me, 4 for me, 5 for me, 6, 7, 8, 9 for me. Now can God have 1? Sure. And now do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4 up till 9. Can God have another one? Sure. It makes it easier to give that 10%. And also, by counting the first 9, the shepherds, or we, when counting our own money, are reminded that that first 9, the 9 we get to keep, is also from God. Don't kid yourselves. It wasn't your talent or ingenuity that got you that money. Sure, you can take pride in a job well done, but your financial success depends on God. And perhaps we're also meant to be reminded of the manner in which we are counted during the high holidays. As we say in the prayers, we're like sheep exiting the corral, 1 by 1, being counted lovingly by our Father, our shepherd up in heaven. And it's no accident that our earliest leaders were all shepherds, the patriarchs and Moses, Moshe, and David HaMelech, King David, because God first wanted to see how each of them would treat each member of their animal flocks before he allowed them to become the leaders of his flock, the Jewish people. And maybe that tapping of each 10th animal with the paint stick is also meant to be a metaphor for us. You may never know when, you may not see it coming, but each of us at some point in our lives may have that burning bush moment where God taps us and says, the community needs you. The Jewish people need you. Will you step up to the plate?